Good morning once again, and thanks for joining us. If you're just tuning in, this is newspaper review on Voice of the People Television. I am Moses Humphrey. Now it's a full house, of course. Chukuma is in the building, Chukuma Okoro, and also we have Daily Fanimo staying back from a spill off from the morning show that's VOP this morning into newspaper review. And also we're being joined by Lawale Kundayo, who is a farmer, an educationist, and a public affairs commentator. Good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning.
Now let's get into it without wasting any time. From the Punch newspaper, Ibadan, funfair tragedy. Oni's ex-wife, others face probe as 32 children feared killed. We have a problem with this.
Feared killed.
The feared killed. Was it an intentional thing?
Exactly.
Or was it a mistake? Well, some of the papers reported fear dead. So let's just stay with fear dead.
Yes, I think it's better. It's better.
Yeah. And so the rider to it is UCH. 2 others confirm 16 deaths. Makinde vows justice, sympathizes with parents. On top of the masthead, we have AGF to meet Senate panel on tax reform bills today. PSC promotes over 8,000 police officers. Cash scarcity, OPS falls CBN's limit on POS withdrawals. Saraki, Plateau governor, North Central bigwigs demand PDP chairman's slot. Gridlock grounds Lagos-Ibadan expressway as driver dies in crash. 18 Edo LG chairman fault suspension. Opebola orders probe, I beg your pardon. FG plans 13 trillion naira loan as Tinubu presents 49.7 trillion naira 2025 budget. These are the headlines.
Yeah, I would want us to talk about this tragedy that happened in Ibadan yesterday.
Oh, yes.
As a matter of fact, when I saw a video of the promoter of that station, Agidigbo FM, welcoming the wife of Oni of Ife,
Ex-wife.
I thought...
Ex-wife.
Sorry. Of something good was coming the way of the indigents in Ibadan. So I was excited about it. But shortly after, I think about 2 hours later, I saw that breaking news. It was mentioned that I think 12 people died. And I was wondering what would have happened. I had to call the manager of that station, radio station, who is a friend, and he confirmed to me. But I think he was in the midst of trying to sort out some things, so he couldn't give me the details. So I was wondering, it speaks to the level of poverty in the land. If somebody is saying he or she or an NGO wants to give away, and for Christmas, suddenly for 5,000 people, almost 20,000 people. And I know that particular school in Ibadan, in Basharu. I used to live around that place. That place cannot even contain up to that amount. So there must be, struggles to get in. And so I was even told that some people had camped there the previous day.
Yes, they had slept over.
Slept over. And what is this? What is the value of this gift that they're likely to give?
5,000.
Maybe 5,000. And so our youth that are supposed to be leaders of tomorrow, dying in their prime for such little thing. It shows that even the parents cannot afford what the children expected for Christmas, because even as it is now, 5,000 cannot do anything in a family. And if you profile further, you may discover that there could be siblings amongst those
that might have died.
That might have died. So I feel pained. It touched me more than the average person would, because I looked at all the sides to it.
Yes, exactly.
And I felt it's at the doorsteps of those who are still pinning us down and not making life better for Nigerians.
Exactly the point. Then I like the angle that you brought it, that you took it from, especially the fact that, look, it speaks to the poverty in the land.
Yes.
So, but looking at it from the other side, I now begin to understand when the Punch newspaper says feared, killed, because the governor also said the governor has vowed for justice. So is the governor looking at it from the point of negligence? Was there negligence on the part of the organizers, for him to have said he's vowed for justice, for the victims? And then they recall that we also understand that at a point the organizers wanted to call off the program when they witnessed the massive attendance.
It's not as if they attempted. They even ran jingles to call it off.
But the people...
But they were not willing to listen.
People became persistent because they know they were going to eat food there, go away with handouts and all of that. And again, it comes back to the issue of poverty and the fact that people... I like the fact that Makinde says he vows for justice. But how much responsibility should the government take for the poverty in the land? Because it's like most times when we see these kind of things happen, people in government try to twist the narrative, to take us away from the major issue that we should be focusing on, which is how to fight poverty in the land. I mean, if there were, I'm not taking away the fact that, look, even in advanced countries, that shows are organized during your time,
stampedes.
But how does that relate to the poverty in the land? I think that's my major concern. Which government shouldn't government take responsibility for the huge, massive poverty in the land?
If I may come in, this thing is not new in this country, if you notice.
And what is not new? The stampede or the...
Yes, this type of organization, anytime they want to do something, it's quite that people die. Do you remember the one that happened in Lagos State? You get it?
The sharing of rice.
Yes, when the sharing of rice. Even those were adults, and they died.
Yaba area. There was
Yaba
as well.
I saw on that Friday I was passing by. I was getting to a unit. Like I saw them. I even saw last mile official carrying half a bag of rice, running away with it, and some other people. And see, these people. These are people that are supposed to go there. The law enforcement agencies are supposed to go there to ensure that this thing happens. Yes, but you see them. You see them themselves. You get being carried away by what is in that area. Remember that COVID-19 issue, in which some people went into some
warehouses.
Warehouses and looted the place. You see police officers, you see military soldiers.
Yes, they are affected by the poverty in the land.
I mean, this thing themselves, instead of them to do their job, they are carried away by these things. Now, the question is, if you want to give people something, must you gather them in one place? You already know, if you gather them in one place, it will be difficult to control. It's so simple. You could just use their various areas. You get? Use their various areas, divide it into, sections, subsections, instead of piling them into one place. It will, even if they are adult, it will cause problem. There will be problem there. You get? You could have done it in such a way that you break this thing down into maybe local governments, into maybe schools. Okay, the various schools you attend, they are going to be, let's know the number of children are also age there. We are going to do so. So you just send some batches to this area, send some batches to this. Everybody will go to their own area. That very day you cover everything and there will be no problem. But telling them to meet in one place shows the negligence. That is why they are using the word killed. That it is this thing the organizers have. They have questions to answer. Because how you should explain, how did you organize it? Did you inform the law enforcement agents?
No,
Then if you inform them, then it becomes their problem. Look at what happened during the time. If I'm taking you to America now, where Trump was almost assassinated. You see how everybody was involved, up to FBI. Even the snipers, every one of them were giving their own stories. Did you not notice this?
Well, I guess that's what we'll find out when investigation.
The governor begins his probe.
That's why it's good that you investigate, because this thing is becoming rampant all across the country. Happening in Lagos, in Ibadan, in whatever. It's so simple.
But whichever way we look at it, we can't take away poverty from this.
Of course.
It's still there.
It's at the center of it all. It's at the center of it all, and we know that humans are one of the most difficult animals to...
You won't call somebody, you won't call children even for 200,000 in Lekki or Ikoyi to come out for this kind of thing, they won't likely come out.
No, they will.
You sure?
Are you sure?
They will, yes. They
You
will.
sure?
They
Have
will.
you tried
In
it?
Ikoyi.
No, even if
Who will
they,
come
even if
out?
they don't come from that vicinity of
Yes.
Okay, maybe
people from
Maybe they will infiltrate that.
people from
We have slums around there as well. So
we have slums around there. You also see people as far as in Yanekbaja going.
Going there. You are talking of Yanokwaja, Ikorodu.
No,
Well,
maybe
I think the organizers have a lot of questions.
yes.
The massive publicity played its own.
They are.
I wouldn't fault.
It's
I
just
wouldn't
an
fault
unfortunate
the
thing.
publicity, yes.
No, it's not their own. It's not their own fault. Their own is just so.
There's something. If you go to there's this BRT park. I think it's the same everywhere, but particularly the one around Obalinde. There's a pathway created with metal barricade.
Where you follow.
You can't be two people trying to get into a bus if you follow that pathway. It's so narrow that it can't take two people standing side by side.
Okay.
So I think things like that should be put in place when we organize events like this. So people, you know that there's orderly movement. There might be a struggle at the back end, people trying to get in, but then when you go through that barricade, you receive your gift, and then you go with, there will be order. So I think that should have been put in place, and maybe subsequent planners will consider that in planning for events. Quite an unfortunate one. I mean, we've seen
And their
this
children.
happen.
Their
This is not
children.
the first time. When was it? I'm trying to remember the ministry now that organized. I think it was customs. Was it customs? Organized interview.
Yes.
Somewhere.
No, immigration.
Immigration.
In Abuja.
Jonathan.
Under Abba.
What happened?
Under
What
Moro.
happened in Lagos too?
It happened.
Some years
The
back.
pen-
Yes,
they-
yes.
There
they
was
drowned.
stampede. There was stampede at the stadium. People needed so there's poverty in the land. So that it's at the center of it all, where people just feel if there's a giveaway somewhere, either a job opportunity or gift items, people troop in there and then they struggle to get to it, and unfortunately some people die.
And another thing is that many of these people you see, they trek long distances. I've seen even in Mafuluku people, adults, elderly people trekking from Mafuluku to Ikeja.
Some of them even slept overnight with empty stomach.
So you expect them to be weak already.
You said?
They went to their empty hunger.
Exactly.
Younger.
So double wahala for
So
them.
what I'm saying that
All right, I think
organization.
we have to move now.
Yeah, okay.
Well, let's look at a few other stories here. Well, let's go to the Guardian newspaper. I think there are some headlines from the Guardian newspaper. Tinubu eyes 15% inflation rate from 49.7 trillion naira budget to spend 2% on agri.
Why are you laughing?
Sorry. I'm sorry.
He's a farmer. He's a farmer, so you have to
Spending 2%.
give us some education.
on agri. It's fine.
Your laughter is injuring the sensibility of a farmer in this studio.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
that anytime I hear about agriculture in this country, farming, it agitates me immediately.
All right.
Well,
come
some
to
other headlines here. Dangote denies NPCL's $1 billion support claim. Crude obligations default. NERC, that's NERC, releases new tariff, asks discos to downgrade customers. FG approves zero import duty, VAT on CNG, LPG equipment. Government begins full tax waiver on drugs, January. Tax reforms. Clark urges national restructuring, equitable system. Stakeholders pick holes in Tinubu's reforms. Knock CBN for FX cash crisis. State governors playing politics with minimum wage. Civil servants allege, oh yes, the majority of them. Governance failure, fueling violent extremism as FG commits to tackling insecurity. Well, we've talked about the budget on VOP this morning, but there are a few other things that played out during the presentation of the budget. So probably we'll touch on some of those other things in the course of the program.
Okay, let Mr. Ekundayo, please, can we have your take on the 2% allocation to the agri sector in the 2025 budget?
The allocation is not my major headache.
Okay.
You get it? Is what the money, whether the money actually perform what is expected. That is the headache I carry.
Because the problem I have, the reason it's a headache is because I know that when the president came into office, a lot of farmers were happy. I actually spoke to one who is a major farmer in Nigeria. He came on a program and he was excited because according to him, the president had sent men 6 years ago, that's 6 years before 2023, to make inquiries as to what farmers need to ensure that farming is viable in Nigeria. So he was one of those contacted. They held meetings. They made proposals, presentations to the team of the president for whenever he gets into office. All right? This was 6 years before 2023.
That's 2017 or something.
Yes. So presentations were made. So based on that, he came on a program and he told me categorically, he said, look, this and this and these are the things we told the team. We've met with the president's team, and we know that when he comes into office, agriculture will boom if they implement what we proposed. But we haven't seen any of that in the last 1 year, over 1 year.
And each time you'll be hearing we have spent so and so billions on this or agriculture. We have spent so and we are beginning to wonder.
Have they arrived? The Brazil tractors?
I think they have.
Okay.
I think they have.
It's
but
even-
The 965 million euro deal.
2,000 trucks, tractors. So.
2,000 tractors.
Yes.
It's even an error. You get it? If my advice is sick on this, I will tell him not to do it.
I think
It's an error. This thing we could see. All these tractors can be built in Nigeria. It's so
And we used to have tire now in
even they display it in this. If you are going along this, if you are going
I
along
think
this,
there's a plant that assembles in Kaduna. I don't know if it still exists.
No, we shouldn't be talking about plants. They don't exist now. We had Anamco, we had Peugeot Automobile, we had Volkswagen. You know, we had even in Ibadan. We had what was the Leland in Ibadan. You know, and all. But all those places
going
all those
abroad
things
for
have
all these things.
collapsed.
It is affected.
So let's even talk about taking it from Brazil if they have arrived. Now, my concern is this: does it look like the president is working towards something? You know, if there's so much budgeted for insecurity, you know, if there's so much.
Can you let me? There's a point I want to make on that.
Okay, go ahead.
The point I want to make is this. Now, if I'll take you just for a minute back to when the white man came here during the colonial era, there's what they called legitimate trading. You know what they call that? They look for what you are already doing in your area and they promote it. That's what they did.
Comparative
yes,
advantage.
now we already have what we have. Each areas already have what they produce.
They're known for. Yeah.
Yes, agriculturally. In Lagos, fish is majorly what they produce.
Okay.
And Lagos is so viable that we could be exporting fish across the whole world. Do you know?
Coastal states.
Yeah. Do you know what this fish? Fish is like oil. It's like this petroleum. How? Because you can use fish for almost practically anything. You can use it for pharmaceutical industry. You don't know? From this cod liver oil, you get it. You can use it for animal production. You can use it to make calcium. You can use it to make dog feed. Okay. You can make it to make animal chicken feed. You can eat it. It's almost like oil on its own. It's like crude oil on its own. And look at Lagos State. Up till now, we are still importing fish at a very alarming rate. Now, when I was small, you'll be hearing something like Abakaliki rice. You'll be hearing something like Ofada rice. Why? These people have been growing this rice since, and they have established that is what they do. And when Buhari came on board, we saw the rice being shifted to the north. I began to wonder what happened to Abakaliki rice? What happened to Ofada rice? You get it? Who could have modernized it? You get it? Such a way that is export. That rice is one of the best in the world. When you cook, it doesn't spoil. It can last like 3 days. You can rewarm meat.
Okay. So let's bring it back to the budget now.
Come down. You get it? All these things come down to the legitimate agricultural economy of each area.
Okay.
I told you about Adamawa, that the whole of Adamawa, if Adamawa is used for Antaraba, for cattle rearing only, we'll be supplying the whole world with meat and milk. There was one man, white man that left a big company in Nigeria here to go to Kenya to head a company that is exporting meat. Exporting meat. You say, now...
Do we still have the Eco Meat Van? Now that you talked about meat.
What do
I don't see them anymore.
No, they are still existing. But what they do is just to transport the meat now. That's all. You get it? See, so if you go to Benue, Benue is known for yam. Go to Niger State. You have rice. You have some. See, just develop. Just go to each area.
Okay,
let the governors.
Let's talk about the budget now. This budget, we understand their perspective. Like I said, my concern is if 2% has been earmarked for agriculture, in the whole budget, and we are looking at bringing down inflation from 34 to 35%, how realistic is that?
And food inflation at close to 40%.
At close to 40%.
That was why I laughed.
So that is the question we should try to find answers.
Chukuma, my worry is, will these 2% get to the real farmers?
That is the main thing I'm after.
I have seen it live happening. I told you once that there was a day I was in my house in Ibadan. Somebody called somebody to come quickly to a local government headquarters. Lo and behold, that person got there and they said they wanted to capture our data. For what? There was a pile of fertilizer, a pile of maize grain for seedlings
and all of that.
Insecticide and pesticide. For somebody who has never visited a farm, who doesn't know how yam emerges from the farm, and then 90% of people that person saw at that venue.
Yes, we understand that these things get into the hands of people.
When government now say the budget,
good. Now,
what are the mechanisms put in place?
Even if you budget less than 1%, you get it. The question is,
if it gets to the right people, we will see the benefits.
Is there anything we can do to reverse this trend? That is what we should be talking about. Is there anything?
What you see at the heart of this is corruption, and until people now begin to see the multiplier effect of corruption in the society, maybe that time Nigerians will change. For instance, cooperatives should be set up, and this money shouldn't find their way. Yes, this money shouldn't find its way into the hands of individuals. If you have a cooperative society made up of about 50 people and you are giving them 1 billion naira, there is likelihood that 50% or 70% of the people you are giving this money, if they are real farmers, and when others are infiltrating such cooperatives, they won't allow it. Because they know that you are going to deny them of that access to that fund. So if 1 billion is given out to a cooperative society and they utilize 700 million out of it, the multiplier effect will be there. But when you now see people with political juggernauts going into this,
now when we have large swaths of land, already taken over by bandits and terrorists, and farmers are no longer going to farm. How will those money...
Farmers, herdsmen or bandits have not taken over all the land in Nigeria. If they are operating somewhere, if the government is fighting them, why fighting them? Can't we move
to other areas?
Centers.
No. There are production centers like Benue State.
Let me tell you.
Okay.
The yam they bring from Benue, will it not grow in Ibadan? Will it not grow in Abeokuta?
It's even growing in Lagos here.
Will it not be grown in... So why must you stay in Benue to plant yam? There was a time in this country, as late as 80s, nobody was bringing tomato from the north. We have our own species of tomatoes that even the one that are brought, we saw it as inferior, even if they come here. But today, we rely solely on what is coming.
Shouldn't we also be talking about things like palm oil from the southeast?
Exactly.
Cocoa from the
southwest.
Of the groundnut. I mean, peanut is the thing now. A lot of people eat peanuts and all of that. This is groundnut that is coated with flour.
Roasted groundnut is exported in Nigeria abroad.
Let's even leave the cash crop. That is something that has to do with investment that will not yield, at least to begin to harvest cocoa now. Even with the hybrid, you need to wait for about 3 years or 4.
Yes.
You know.
But what
we are talking about,
to be looking at long term too.
I know. But what is assailing us now is how to get yam, rice, maize, and cassava.
Rice.
You know.
All these are
and everything that you think of importing, you can grow in Nigeria. Depending on the environment you find yourself.
Apple
know
can
that
grow in Nigeria. Do you know that? Potato, sweet Irish potato is growing in Nigeria.
In fact, in Plateau, you grow
Adamawa
potato.
Plateau.
You understand?
Mambila Plateau.
So what are we talking about? When I was growing up, I knew a species of cow. I think it's now in somewhere in Australia that you find this. You know, they are big but not as tall.
Short,
and the horns, they come in bits, just little horn. But
short
the
horn,
flesh, the flesh from that cow, if you kill one, is almost equivalent to 3 of what we see now. And suddenly everything just disappeared. You can't find one.
So how do we reinvent?
So how to reinvent this is, we still have this species of cow. Can't we just import, breed, and then populate?
Can I come in this area? See, the solution to this problem is very simple. 2 things.
Okay.
1, that resource control, that state resource control is paramount. 2, develop the local government, because local government own lands, not federal government. All this money we are disbursing to, that's why I just look at the money. That's why I don't want to discuss it. But what I know is that money will not yield anything serious, because the government, this 2%.
Okay.
Federal government does not own land. State government doesn't own. It is local government that own land, because all these farmers, many of them, they don't even leave their local government
government or the state.
The state government owns the land. But what you are trying to say,
what I'm saying is that the direct, contact of the government to the people is the local government. So they see their local government as everything. They don't even know where some of them don't even know where the state government house is. Talk less of federal. So everything they do is within the local government. Most of them don't even leave their local government. They do their farming there. They do their whatever. Anybody who wants to buy will come to the local government. You buy it in that local government, and you take it out as a businessman and you distribute. You get it? So everything they do is within the local government. If you empower that local government, the local government will take care of them, because everybody knows everybody in the local government. You get what I'm saying? The local government chairman is coming from them. So it's developed. You develop that area if you develop the local government. 1. Second, that resource control. Each state generate your resources. Pay the federal some percentage. That will solve the problem. You know why? Because if you don't develop if your state is good agriculturally and you are not developing it, where are you going to get money to run the government? The people will sit right and they will begin to vote the right people into their government. But now the state government will wait for money to come from federal. When they get the money, they will tell you that there's maybe bandits. There's one thing and that they spend money on security, and before you know it, the whole money will come. That's why you will now see governors running away with some certain amount of money, huge amount. And then by the time the governor accumulates, or the local government chairman accumulates so much money, how do you deal with that person? How do you collect the money? You'll now be chasing. What about the damage he has done already? So if you have that resource control, yes, everybody will do. You are still, in fact, Adama will be encouraging people to come and.
All right, then. Thank you very much. But still talking about the budget now. Let's look at a few things that played out, all right, at the budget presentation. Chikuma, I would like your response to some of these things I want to reel out here.
Okay. As
documented by Premium Times. They gave a minute-by-minute account of what played out. Now, right after the president and the vice were introduced by the president of the Senate, Akpabio went ahead to say that the economic reforms of the president has started yielding positive results, though it is painful. He also applauded the infrastructural strides of the president. Now, this was after that lawmaker tried to do on your mandate withstand thing. He also said, look, no state in the country is currently under Boko Haram's threat as a result of security measures put in place by the president. This is coming from about Boko Haram threat. He also said, Senate President also said, as a result of bilateral relationship with foreign countries, Nigerians can now travel abroad with ease, as many countries are now respecting its citizens.
Okay.
And sometime around 1:30 p.m., Mr. Akpabio commended President Tinubu for the tax reform bills. I'm going somewhere with this one. Currently before the National Assembly. He said the bills have been misunderstood by many people and that those who refuse to understand go to the television to criticize them. He slammed some of the people opposed to the bill reform, to the tax reform bills, despite never reading a single page. He said the National Assembly would not kill any reform. Rather, it would dot the I's and cross the T's. And then he added that some of his colleagues are not even aware that the tax reform bills are 4 in number.
That's vintage Godswill Akpabio for you. A lot of people,
basically, he just told Nigerians that the National Assembly members are not aware of the bills that they are contending against.
Some of them
I said it earlier.
Some of them are just saying that the tax.
Yes, now that's what I.
You say it's.
That's an indictment.
That is what it is.
That they are just.
How else would you describe that?
That is what it is. A lot of
at that level,
a lot of people
in government,
a lot of people on the floor of the Senate don't understand when we are talking about tax reform bills. They already have a mindset that the thing is pro-Southwest, pro-South, anti-North. That is their mindset, especially those of them from the North. Now, that said, I said, this is Godswill Akpabio for you. And a lot of people who told that same line, if you say that the reform policies of this administration, is already yielding results, why wouldn't it yield results? Your house is provided by the federal government of Nigeria. The food you eat is provided by the federal government of Nigeria. The vehicle you drive is provided by the federal government of Nigeria. The security details provided by the federal government of Nigeria. Security details, the fear, the food, everything that God will, from morning to night, month on month, year on year, is provided by the federal government. So why wouldn't the economic reform policies of this administration make sense to him?
It's working for him now.
If Godswill Akpabio had said, and that's why I keep going back to the utterances of our leaders, their public utterances. If someone like Godswill Akpabio says, look, the reform policies of this administration most likely, will start yielding results in the next 6 months, 1 year, a lot of Nigerians will go home with that, satisfied. But when you now come to tell us that the results are already there, it's more like an insult to our collective sensibilities. And Nigerians don't take such things. Go to X and see the backlash, on those comments. Those comments that he made. You don't tell people that. People are hungry. There is poverty in. They're taking Nigerians for granted.
But this is not the first time he's making that utterance.
Exactly.
You remember that? I'll never forget that protest.
That's why I said that vintage him. He has said a lot of things like poverty in people went to eat in Ibadan yesterday and look at what happened. He says whenever you see anywhere you say free food. Even though some people tried to defend him then, but he also came to the fore that look, he said whenever you see free food, you go and eat. So, Godswill Akpabio, please, people in government, we need to, give us some level of intelligence now. Do they take us for fools or what? Because it looks like that is what they think that Nigerians are. Because these utterances don't have consequences. They don't even have, there are no consequences for their actions.
Yes.
They make such statements, they insult Nigerians morning, afternoon, and night, and go away with it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. They should change.
You see, when I said it, when Ndumi stood up on the floor of the Senate and he was making allusion to disparage the bills, some people felt that I was too hard on him. I knew right from when he started talking that he only saw the pile of the bill. He never opened the page. Why are these people? Maybe because they got to that office without really working for it. That's why they don't even know the dictates of such office. For instance,
do you think they didn't work to merit such offices?
I don't think.
Good or bad, they work for it.
That's the question. How do they get into that office? How do they get elected?
You see,
it's a question.
You see, what godfathers do in this election, we have seen it before.
Yes.
When Yaradua was contesting, it was Obasanjo that was campaigning. When Okpobolo was contesting, it was Oshiomhole that was campaigning.
Yaradua was already a governor. Okpobolo was already a senator. And you don't just wake up.
And so what I'm saying in essence is, how did it even get to the Senate? You know, let's not trivialize this matter. What we are saying.
No, he's not trivializing it. I mean, for some.
You see,
let me tell you know that you need to spend like 2 billion naira.
Can you let me ask you a question?
To become a senator.
You can spend money without really preparing for an office.
Why not?
No, exactly. So
happens in Nigeria.
You should talk about their. You should have talked about their.
The rigors
without they work for it. They actually work for it. But I said work for it, good or bad.
You paid for it.
How did they work for it? They paid for it.
They paid for it. They didn't work for it.
They paid for it.
They paid for it.
Or somebody paid on their behalf.
Now, tell me the rigor these people went through before they got to that office. What they do is they share rice, they share okada,
they are not
they share this.
Somebody is doing that on their behalf.
And they just on election day, they just go there to print, come back to their house and begin to monitor on phone.
You are
now, what effort have you put in place? That's one. Then even when you get to the office, I said, go back and see the salary and emolument of these senators and House of Rep members. In it, you have about 13 aides. Among these aides, there were supposed to be researchers.
There is, even political,
you understand?
Whatever, I think.
They ought to have constituency office in their constituency. Show me one senator that have all this. Now, if somebody like Akpabio has those people working for him, and they are working, not that they are just giving offices to them as a form of patronage, Udume will not come to the floor of the House to condemn a bill or 4 bills that he has not even read, and his aide had not even read, to advise him. Because he was not talking from position of knowledge on that day. And that is the same for almost all these legislators. They don't talk from position of knowledge. This same Akpabio, you remember that when the Okwama issue happened, he said some mercenaries were brought to Okwama to come and kill soldiers. The third day, somebody came up in the social media and he didn't cover his face, and he said he was part of the killing, and he gave reasons for the killing. I mean, how much defense do you want to put up for somebody like that?
I'm not defending anybody. My point of disagreement is when you say that some of these people didn't work for it. And I'm asking you, how will a man spend 1 billion naira to contest for an office and you say he didn't work for it? Good or bad?
No, wait.
Do you know the level of...
He spent 1 billion.
Is that not working?
Is that working?
What is it? Do you have 1 billion naira to contest? Do you know the level
of... How did he get the 1 billion?
Okoro, somebody can give you money.
How did he get it?
You don't work for it.
We may not want to mention names here. Do you and I know that some people had no visible means of livelihood other than finding themselves in corridors of power, and they amass wealth.
Wait, I think the appropriate word you should have used is these people, do they merit such positions by way of antecedents? I'm quarreling with the word. Work for it.
You're correct. Yes, worked.
Worked for it. Work.
See. Like I said. Wait. What I'm saying that somebody you get it can give you money and say, okay, give it to Moses. He knows what to do with the money. You get? Does that mean you work for it? You don't even know.
Do you know what Moses has done in the past?
No, not for him. He did it for me. It's between us. He is just a fronter, so he doesn't know anything. So by the time Moses put him in power, you get maybe in the office. You now go there and mess up. You now say he worked. He didn't work now because I only gave him money to give to Moses. Moses did the work. That's what we are saying.
Chukuma, we have seen cases in this country that somebody from nowhere, somebody just called him and said, come, I want to make you.
You think that person is from nowhere? You think that person is from nowhere? That person must have done something for him to be noticed by that person that says come.
It has nothing to do with that politics.
Exactly the point. You can now say that the person doesn't merit being in that office.
Different kinds of work.
Yes, different kind of works.
So in this context,
we've seen cases where somebody was said to be a fridge repairer of an individual, and then he was elevated to a post in a state in Nigeria. We've seen cases like that. So people work in different ways,
good or bad. That's my point. You can say
is that work targeted at getting that office?
That's what we are saying. We are talking about the office.
Incidentally, in our books, there are no prescriptions for who becomes a senator, except the fact that you have attended primary, secondary school.
And we are suffering for it. We agree with each other, but we are suffering for that.
That is what it is.
We are suffering for that.
And we have people who have doctorate degrees. They have gone to Senate. They've not done anything. Then we also see people who didn't go to school. They have impacted more on their communities than the people with PhDs.
If you are saying legislators impacted on their community, it is the corruption. Because they are meant to make laws.
If you want us to talk about corruption now, that's a different thing altogether.
They are meant to make laws. They are not supposed to amass wealth to come and spend in their constituency.
That's it. It's outside the
What about the constituency projects?
Is it in the constitution?
Is it constituency project they use in buying Okada, grinding machine, buses?
Some of them have also built roads. Some of them have built schools and hospitals for their community.
Okay, give us two examples.
If you are building,
they only use the word facilitate to.
In my own constituency, the senator that represents me in the Senate, Senator Dr. Ojus Okalo, has done much more as a senator than when he was governor.
And where is the source of the money?
Constituency project.
How much constituency project compared to what he has done in your community?
Exactly what I'm telling you.
No, it's not exactly what you are telling me.
All right. Now let's move away from this conversation. Let's talk about NEC and the discos. NERC, NEC, they've released new tariff and they've asked discos to downgrade customers. Those that were taken up to band A, but were not receiving electricity meant for band A, they've been asked to downgrade them back. And
to band C.
Well, downgrade them to a band that relates to how much they get.
Wait, Moses, let me ask you. What band are you going to put someone who did not have electricity for 1 month?
I think that must be.
That is what
there's nothing like whether you don't have electricity. What I'm saying is that
you unbanned that person.
I don't know.
You unbanned.
Because this band, it doesn't make sense at all. Totally, it's supposed not to be anything like band. You're supposed to have something like a low-cost area, high-cost area, income area.
You see, what band now?
No, that's not band. No, that's not band. That band means that minimum of social power.
What they would have done,
so
if you ask me, what they would have done was to classify some places as industrial areas, and they pay different fees.
We always
have that.
We always had that.
Created band.
Industrial area. If you are unfortunate to have your house within an industrial area, good luck. Because that place was originally designated industrial area.
With development now, there are areas that were residential that have now been, you now have industries there. So it's difficult to maintain.
No. You see,
you don't think so?
Pocket of SMEs in an environment doesn't make it an industrial area.
Yes.
But industrial area is an area earmarked for
it's like
production.
An estate.
You understand? So if you find yourself in that community, it's your own kettle of fish. But what we are saying is, some people, they live in Ibra areas. Development met them there. But that development that captured them in that area has not impacted in their lives. They still live in a bungalow amongst high-rise residential buildings. How are you going to now build that person whose average income is less than 100,000 naira a month with somebody whose average income in a month is between 10 and 20 million naira, and you are saying band A. What parameter did you use? And the level of consumption in that area cannot be the same.
I think what the discos should have done, what NERC should have done is, because they have equipment, like in my house now, you know, in their office, EEDC, back in Enugu, in their house, in their office there, they have an equipment that monitors when you recharge, how much you recharge, when you use light and when you don't use light. It's in their office. So when they come to your house and they discover that is how they even know people that
Who bypass? Okay.
You know, when they come and they see that consistently you have light, but when they go back to their back and they discover that, look, it's not reflecting there, they now know that you have done a bypass.
But if you are not around, or maybe you are not around, or maybe you come.
No, what he's saying is that there will be consumption pattern.
There's a consumption.
But let me give you one example in my area.
Let me land. You know, so I think what they should have done is, if they have that equipment, because rather than coming to a cluster, you say, band A. Is it possible to isolate homes
It's not
based on their consumption
and the consumption rate of each home
to now determine, oh, this person does much. He should be in band. But unfortunately, there is no way you can come to a block of 10 flats. You say, give this person light. Don't give this person light. I think that's the downside.
Giving light is different from consuming light.
No.
Yes, now they are two different things.
Can they isolate flats?
No, they can't.
They can't isolate.
I'm not saying they should have isolate
areas, like a cluster of areas. A cluster of we say, okay, these ones are band A, like Ogudu.
Yes.
I think Ogudu now. I think the whole of Ogudu is band A.
Yes.
So people that reside there, they pay it's 209. Yes.
Yes. The bills are crazy
per unit, per kilowatt hour.
Yeah, the bills are crazy.
It's crazy over there.
See, do you know this
And
band
how many
A?
industries do we have in
Ogudu?
This band A, whatever band, is a way of simply cheating the people. It's simply cheating. Okay, in my area, you get it. 3 houses away, the guy complained on prepaid meter that they put him on band A. And that area is on band C. You get it?
Okay.
And they put the guy, look at that. And the guy was seriously complaining. All this is simple cheating.
How did he come?
See, can we take one more newspaper and then wrap up with that?
Yes, we can.
Daily Trust newspaper.
Yes, we can.
With the banner headlines, scores of children feared dead in a Baron Carnival stampede. We already talked about that. Parents demand release of corpses. Organizers arrested. 2025 budget, security gets lion's share. Gobs 14.5 trillion naira in 5 years. Onions hit 250,000 naira per bag. Farmers traders blamed flooding, inflation. Now, CBN restricts POS agents to 1.2 million naira daily transaction, 100,000 naira for customers. PDP crisis, not central leaders meet in Abuja, insist on chairmanship. Total Energies, MRS, Sahara, others win 25 new oil blocks. Big money. $1 billion loan. Your statement misleading. Dangote replies NNPCL. Now, victims cry out as FCTA demolishes 20,432 structures. Natives threaten to go spiritual. Lawyer seeks adequate compensation. Notices. No going back on exercise. That's according to Wiki. Now, is it possible that 20,432 structures would have violated, and who gave the approval, for those?
See, I've always said it. Like, look, with all the demolition going on, we cannot exonerate those within
the authorities, the FCTA,
those that allocate properties. We can't exonerate them. It means they have done some graft. They have allocated properties that they know are not to be occupied, they have allocated these. It's either that or government is just wielding the big stick,
the big hammer.
Another thing is this: why do we have government officials, for God's sake? This area is marked. You get it by government that nobody should go to that area. You want to tell me government now abandon the area before people now start building on it and spend years here before another person will come and demolish it? That is not right. You get it? So government needs to be fingered. That's why the past government does not probe. I mean, the present government does not probe the past government. This is very wrong.
It also speaks to our housing development structures, you know. In some places I have been to, you know, before you start building houses, government will have provided infrastructure like roads, electricity, drainage, water, and all of that. You know.
It doesn't happen here because we are local government.
Okay, government is local.
We are local government.
Okay,
individuals are local government.
You provide everything.
You provide everything.
I think this is what gives rise to all these infractions. Because if the government has on its own gone into a new area, you know, built
There's
road,
a proper layout.
there's a proper layout.
And then you come and buy.
And they allocate lands based on, you know, parcels, blocks of land, square meterage and all of that. There wouldn't be this issue of somebody came to build on a drainage and somebody is obstructing a pathway and all of that, a public space and all of that. I think that is the problem. We are moving from the reverse side of things. You know, instead of going in this direction, we are coming from behind. And that is why we run into all these problems 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 years down the line. I mean, look at what is happening to Rita Lori, the wife of Colonel Okwebo in Abuja. In a place they have occupied for more than 40 years. All of a sudden, in a twinkling of an eye, you ask the woman to. You ask residents there, quit. Demolitions and all of that.
See, at the heart of this is corruption.
Yes.
And
The
you
town
allocate
planner,
that same
town planner,
another set of people.
that you charted
In less than
a
one
parcel
month.
of land, and you know that this land had been acquired by government, but because government has not decided on what to use the land for, you now, somebody comes to inquire from you, you have that information, you conceal that information just because you want to get money from that land speculator and put the money in your pocket and then approve. When somebody now brings bulldozer 20, 30 years after, they will now show you document that he properly charted this land. Whereas it was that corrupt official that gave fake document to that person, and he will never know.
Because the present government does not probe the past. That is one of the major issues. The new one that's coming, you must look.
What we
where
can
the
do
old
is
ones
not some
stopped,
form of
for God's
probing
sake.
if you ask. If you
It's a
may
form
ask.
of
And then you will have corrected so many things.
All right, then this will be
A good place.
Yes, we've run out of time, and there's a lot to talk about. But this is where we have to drop anchor on the program today. I must say a very big thank you to you, gentlemen. Lawale Kunda,
It's always my pleasure.
farmer and an educationist, and of course, public affairs commentator, and also Daily Animo season reporter, public and social affairs commentator. Thank you very much once again.
Maybe I should go into farming now.
Maybe.
You are welcome.
Maybe.
You should. I'm Moses Humphrey. Have a lovely day.
And I am Chukwuma Okoro. Newspaper Review returns same time tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Bye for now.